I thought my crush was flirting with me, but it turns out they were selling. It all started when I got a message from the person I liked. We'll call him Jay. He asked if I wanted to go grab some coffee. And of course I said yes, I was so excited. But then he suggested we meet at this random bookstore, which was a bit weird, but I didn't think much of it. I mean, I like books too, so we agreed to meet at this random bookstore. When I got there, I saw Jay. He was standing next to a woman I'd never seen before. And before I could say hi, the woman spoke up. She said, you must be here to see Jay, right? And I was like, yeah. Then she said, perfect timing. He was just telling me how he's really bad at sales, but I think I can change that for him. And I was like, wait, what? The woman then explained that she was a salesperson and that Jay had brought her along to help him sell the self-help books that they had brought with them. I was so embarrassed. I had literally thought that Jay had wanted to ask me out on a date, but it turned out he just wanted to use me as a sales tactic. I was so angry, but I didn't want to blow up at Jay in front of this woman. So I just said, well, that sounds interesting, and tried to make conversation. But then the woman started talking about how she had already sold 3 books that day and how she was going to take a commission from JS sales. And I was like, wait, what? This is like a pyramid scheme. And she said, what? No, this is a business opportunity. And I was like, oh, no, I don't want to get involved in this. So I tried to leave, but then Jay stopped me. He said, hey, why don't you buy a book? It'll support me. And I was like, ooh, fine. And as the woman was taking my money, I couldn't help but think that this was also awkward and weird. And I wondered why Jay had brought this woman with him. Then it hit me, he probably brought her to make me jealous. But it didn't work. I was more annoyed than jealous. And to be honest, I was a little scared. I mean, this woman was clearly a manipulator and she was using Jay to get to me. But then something unexpected happened. Just as the woman was about to close the deal, Jay spoke up. He told her that I wasn't interested and that I didn't want to buy anything. And I was like, Jay, what are you doing? We're so close to making a sale. But he just stared at me and then he looked back at the woman and said, I'm sorry, but I think you should leave now. And she was like, what? No, I was just getting started, but Jay was firm. He told her that I wasn't interested in buying anything and that he didn't want her to try and manipulate me into it. And then the woman finally left, and after she did, I turned to Jay and I was like, what the hell just happened? And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he started laughing. And I was like, you're laughing. You literally just ruined a sales opportunity. And he was like, no. You're the one who ruined it. You were so busy trying to figure out why I brought the woman with me that you didn't pay attention to what I was actually saying. And then it hit me. Jay had actually been flirting with me the whole time. But I had been so focused on trying to figure out what his weird behavior meant that I had completely missed the signs. I was so embarrassed, and Jay just laughed and said, don't worry, I'm not actually mad. In fact, I think this gives me the perfect excuse to ask you out on an actual date. And I was like, oh, sure. And then he smiled and said, great, how about tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, okay. And then I walked away feeling like an idiot. I mean, I had let my suspicions get the better of me, and I had completely missed out on the chance to have a genuine connection with Jay, but maybe it was for the best. I mean, he was clearly a manipulative narcissist, and I was definitely better off without him.